On this episode of Nostalgia Stories, Antenna TV sat down with Otis Williams. You might remember him from the hit songs My Girl and Papa Was a Rolling Stone. Listen as we chat with Otis about the Temptations and more. How'd you meet Berry Gordy?
He was impressed with the record that we had out at the time, and he said, if you guys should ever leave where you are, come see me. I'm starting my own label, which was Motown. And we were disenchanted with Johnny May, so I called him up and said, this is Otis. He said, oh man, come on over here. And that was the year 1961. So we was with Motown up until, we left Motown for a brief period of time during the 70s. And then we came back, and then we were there until Mr. Gordy sold Motown, and then we left Motown in the year 2006, I think it was. So that's the origin of the Temps. And throughout that, it's been now 26 different members.
How'd you sign with Motown?
Yeah, we were standing out front of Motown, and Johnny May decided to keep the distance, the name The Distance. So we were nameless for a little bit of time, and we called ourselves the Elgins. But we found that it was another group called the Elgins, which was signed to Motown. And so we were standing in front of Motown, and a young man that used to work there named Bill Mitchell, as we were kicking out names, he said, what about the Temptation? I said, I like that. And I asked the then Temps. Now the Temps at that time consisted of Paul Williams, Eddie Kendricks, Elbridge Bryant, Melvin Franklin, and myself. This is before David joined the group. And I said, I like that. And I asked the guys, I said, what do you all think? And I never will forget what Paul said. Paul said, oh, this name is whatever we make it. And so Bill hollered up to the legal department at Motown and said, put on the contract, the Temptations. And that's how we became the Temptations.
By music standards, what makes Motown so unique?
I came up with, I guess it's an acronym or whatever, called GLOAT, G-L-O-A-T, greatest label of all time, bar none. That little two-story family flat came along in God's infinite wisdom. Because during the 60s, there was a lot of upheaval, racial tension, Vietnam, women's lib, all kind of movements was happening. You could sit right at home and see world leaders get killed. But throughout all that, here comes this two-story family flat that housed all those talented people to make such fantastic music that here it is, we're celebrating Motown 60th anniversary. No company in the history of the business has made that kind of profound effect of music. And I read, whereas the Funk Brothers were on more hit #1 records than Elvis. They named about 4 or 5 heavyweight acts, but the Funk Brothers were on more #1 hit records throughout all of them in the business. So it was just a phenomenal time to be at Motown and to be part of history that is still being celebrated.
How'd you create the song Cloud 9?
Well, Cloud 9 about a friend of mine, Kenny Gamble of Gamble and Huff. Him and I were in New York, and we were talking. And as him and I were talking, we heard this here group called Sly and the Family Stone. And they had a different sound, when they broke down, dun, 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 dun. So he cut into our conversation. I said, Kenny, who is that? He said, I don't know, it's something different. Flew back to Detroit, and I told my producer, Norman Whitfield, I asked him, I said, man, have you heard of this group called Sly and the Family Stone? And Norman said, no, I ain't heard of no damn Sly and the Family Stone. I said, well, look, you should check it out because they're doing something different. And at that time, exit David Ruffin, entered Dennis Edwards. We went out of town, came back into town, and Norman had recorded the track to Cloud 9. And I said, oh, you? He said, oh man, shut up, come on, let's go in there and cut this thing. So we went in and recorded Cloud 9. Now, the Temps, we were very spoiled in the sense that whenever we recorded then, whatever Motown put out, it was going instantly to the charts. The radio stations was picking it up real quick. But when they released Cloud 9, I would call up the sales or promotion, or I'd call Barry or Norman, anybody that could tell me, hey man, what we doing? Well, this is a little slow. I said, oh, okay. He said, well, try back next week. And so I would call back and say, so what's happening? Well, we slowly picking up stations. Then I'd call back the third week, and all of a sudden, the record just boom. and it was being picked up by a lot of the R&B stations, even the pop stations. And we were the first act at Motown to win a Grammy for Motown. And Barry, when somebody talked to Barry, he said, "Oh yeah, the Cloud 9, that was my first drug record." And Norman Whitfield wasn't about no drugs, because Norman Whitfield and Barry Strong didn't do drugs. The phrase Cloud 9 has been around a long time. People use it for, when they're feeling good and what have you. But anyway, that's how Cloud 9 came about. And after that, we were in that psychedelic soul kind of feeling for a long time. The Runaway Child, the Cloud 9s, Can't Get Next to You, Psychedelic Shack. I mean, Papa Was a Rolling Stone almost didn't get made. Now, we were tired of that sound, He said, "Man, come on, we need," I told Norman, I said, "We're out there, Norman. We hear what our fans want. They want to hear those My Girls and the Since I Lost My Babies and whatever." So he said, "Man, please, come on, y'all cut this here. I promise y'all, make it a hit. It'll be fantastic." So I told the Tim, "Come on, let's go and get this here and take care of it and get it out of the way." We went and recorded Cloud 9. We had to go to Hawaii. And when we flew back, at that point in time, they used to have what they called disc jockeys conventions. All the noted disc jockeys would meet in, I think at that time it was in Philadelphia. And all the major companies, you could go and talk with various members and things of each company. But every suite I went into, they were playing Papa Was a Rolling Stone, which I thought was kind of, wait a minute, I'm in Warner Brothers and they playing Papa Was a Rolling Stone. I go to CBS, Papa Was a Rolling Stone. I said, "Man, this is funny. Why are they playing that stuff?" Come to find out, Papa Was a Rolling Stone with the #1. I have 2 Grammys on that. So that's how that came about, and it's still love. Here it is over 50 years later.
The choreography and dress style, the sound, how did all that come together?
Well, it's the best of both worlds, because even before we, when we signed with Motown, they hadn't developed the vision called artist development. So we were always conscientious of how we looked, but when we started going to artist development, now artist development was the department, whereas Motown, that's why I said there'll never be another company like Motown, because Motown, Barry initiated this here division called artist development, whereas we would have to be at artist development from 10 in the morning to 6 in the evening. They were grooming us for the smart room, for the Las Vegas, for the Copacabanas. We were given a lot of insightful kind of things about, the late Maurice King, who was our vocal coach. He told us something, and I remember just as clear today as when he told us back during '66. He said, "Tim, I'm gonna tell you something. You guys are becoming very, very popular." He said, "Let me give you a little something." He said, "When you leave your house and you close that door behind you, that's not your time anymore." "Really?" He said, no, once you become a star and having hit records, you walk out there, even if you go to the store, if they want to talk to you, you better be nice. He said, but when you come home and you close that door behind you and you're inside, that's your time. I'll be damned if I haven't experienced that. Motown, that's why I said greatest label of all time. They didn't only teach us about having hit records, they taught us about way of life, of how to deal with, people and subject matter and things. So I am so thankful and blessed that Detroit, Michigan, been at the right place at the right time. See, like I've always said, that was God's infinite wisdom to bring Motown along at that point in time. See, what we did, meaning us, the Tops, and a lot of those early groups and things, we have made it easy for these acts to come along now to generate the kind of money and do all these wonderful things. Now, we had to knock down barriers and things for a lot of things to be accepted for what they're doing today. Our purpose was not only just to make music, but to knock down barriers. My state, I'm from Texas, and look, we would walk in to get to eat, and the cook looked up at us. "Oh, we don't serve," and they used the N-word. And we said, "Oh, we don't eat them." Turned around and walked on out and had to go somewhere else to find us something to eat.
If you got the opportunity to ask Otis Williams anything, what would you ask him?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we've had some rough times, but here I sit before you today because of what I went through, and I've learned a lot, and life is ever learning. So I'm glad that I'm part of Motown history.
How do you think music has changed?
I tell people the one thing that's constant in life is change. You have to be aware of that and be able to adapt to change. That's the key. The music that was made then and the music that I hear today, now I don't try and rain on nobody's parade, but I listen to some of the stuff that's being played. I'm not impressed. They don't have great melodies. The lyrics sound like, it's just not, it's not good. You listen to that Motown stuff, last year, a couple years ago, Derek, he's standing behind you, he said, oh, look at this. This father brought his, I think the little boy had to be 3, no more than 4 years old. He's playing with his car. Dee-doo-dee-da, doo-dee-dee-doo-da. This is a toddler singing My Girl. See, that music from Motown is so easy to be taught. I listen to this stuff today. I often say, what is wrong with FCC? Because when we used to go in to record Barry Gordy's older sister, Esther, she said, now, Temps, can't use any cuss words, which we wouldn't have, no way. I said, no, Miss Edwards, we're not going to do that. The word damn is in the Bible. These artists, when I listen to them today, I said, have the FCC relax their laws, because they saying damn near anything. Our standard of living and thing has really dropped in certain respect, because that was unheard of. But so I don't rain on nobody's thing, but I just know that what I hear today in comparison to when I came along, quantum leap.
What is it about My Girl that makes it timeless?
I like to think that from the womb to the tomb, every man that lives and lived long enough would like to have that one song or woman that he can say, that's my girl. It is so relative that it's timeless. I think every woman would like to have a guy to say that she's his girl. So it's very uncomplicated. It's right to the point. You my girl, and women love to hear that, especially when it's a sincere form of being, very honest. So it's a very simplistic song, because like I said, when you listen at the melody of My Girl, it's very boo-ba-bee-ba, boo-ba-bee-boo-ba, boo-bee-bee-boo-ba, doo-dee-dee-doo-da. Ain't nothing complicated about that. So it's one of those kind of songs that it was put in some kind of registry of, I can't think of the whole thing, but it's put in to see that it will last forever. They will always go back to it and review that as one of the great songs of this era.
What's your relationship with Smokey Robinson?
Love Smokey. And I'm not saying that just for the thing because he wrote hits and he's a wonderful, beautiful spirit. I just saw him not too long ago. And it's like we don't see each other like we used to because, with him and I, we live in LA, but when we lived in Detroit, we'd run into each other quite a bit because we lived in Motown. Smokey is the same way now as he was then. Just a wonderful spirit kind of guy, and like I always tell people, God make a few people that come along every now and then, like a Muhammad Ali, Michael Jackson. Certain talent become a standout kind of a thing. That's Smokey. Smokey will be loved from now on, aside from the great songs that he wrote, the kind of person he is. He's a wonderful spirit. Now he's a man because I heard he sold his songs and got a whole lot of money. Now he had a whole lot of money before then, but you see Smoke, you would never think that he was that kind of wealthy. Still got the common touch, and I love Smokey.
How do you feel about touring today?
You know what? We don't call it touring anymore. We just work. See, back during the days, we called it a tour because, okay, we do a Henry Wynn tour about a month. We come off of that, we'll do a Motown tour for about a month. Then we come off of that and do Dick Clark, Cavalcade of Spot. That's touring. But now we'll go out and work for 2 or 3 weeks. All right, we tired, we want to come home, sit down, that kind of thing. So I consider us a working group more so than a touring. But some people say, well, you're touring. Well, we tour, but to me, we just work until we get tired. And then I have to tell our manager and booking agent, hold up now, I'm 77, not 27. So we have to do things with temperance, but I love it. I'm a blessed person to be able to be here to see my life story on Broadway, #1, breaking records. he'll tell there's a movie that's subject to be in the works for it. When I saw my play, well, Derek and myself, we saw it when it was in its very embryonic stage, where it's rough. And so we saw it in New York. And even seeing it in its very infinite stage of what was getting ready to be, I was moved to tears. And when they did the first half, I got up and the whole cast surrounded me. And I told them, I said, you guys and girls, y'all moved me to tears. One of them said, oh, well, Mr. Williams, if you crying, that must be a sign of it's gonna be a hit. I said, well, I'd like to think so. And then the other guy said, man, please, grown men cry too. I said, that's true, we do cry. I mean, we are raised to be strong and stalwart and all. Yeah, but we have our weak moments. That was mine. And I wasn't by myself. Derek was back there, eyes getting like welled up. My manager, he was trying to business manager, even Ira and Tom of the producer, everybody was trying to sucking in, don't show no, be cool. Now, you're a man, you ain't supposed to, yeah, but I said later for that, y'all moved me to tears. So to see it from that point to where it is now, oh my God. If you should ever see it, make sure you got a Kleenex or something with you. Or you gonna shed a tear. When I lose, the part about me losing my son, when I started losing David, Eddie, Paul, and Melvin. So it's got some tender moments in it that you're subject to, well up, not just some. I look around, some people just boo and then they just run, just flow. But I never would imagine that all that I've gone through would be portrayed now on Broadway. Every facet of my play, everybody that's got something to do with it, got a nomination for a Tony. 12. And a young man called and told me a few days ago, he said, Mr. Williams, how do you feel? I said, oh, I feel good. And I'm talking to him. He said, I don't think you really know the importance of what your play has done. I said, really? He said, your play on Broadway, he said, my play, other than the young man that's playing Shelley, is all black cast. He said, that is unheard of for Broadway. And to get 12 nominations? I said, well, when you put it like that, he said, oh, no, it's like that. He said, because Broadway is such a close-knit kind of a situation that anytime you can do that, you got something in there. So he said, Mr. Williams, you got something really big on your hand. So I'm thankful, because here I sit before you today, and all the rest of my guys are no longer here. I know I'm here for a reason. I know, sure as you and I sit here doing this interview, it's a special reason that I'm still here. And a young lady said the other day, she said, I noticed when you finish the way you do the things you do, you're the only one that I got a reason to. I'm still doing it. So I give him thanks. I noticed Steph Curry, when he make a three-pointer, he's getting in the hot thing, I said, I ain't the only one. I just saw some other noted basketball players and what have you do the same thing. Well, I was raised by two grandmothers. They instilled that in me too, regardless of how big you become in life, and not knowing I would be where I am today. You never forget the man upstairs, and that's me.
Thanks for watching this episode of Antenna TV's Nostalgia.
This video raises questions, and I need for you to be extremely honest in the comments when answering them. And just so you know, I have 3 questions. Number 1, do you remember the name Otis Williams? Number 2, what was your favorite Temptations song? And number 3, have you ever been to a Temptations concert? Now please be honest when answering these questions. Share this video with anyone you deem necessary, and don't forget to like and subscribe.